Hello, all attendees in listen-only mode. How are you guys doing today? Michael here, back at it, tired as all get up. Really busy weekend for me moving, but all is good, and just have boxes everywhere. But we are ready to go. So I just wanted to say, hey, see how you guys are doing. Let me know that you can hear me and that we have no issues with the audio. Okay, all right, Charles, I think you should be able to hear fine. Cool, cool, sound is good. All right, Miranda, Robert, Charles, Nancy, Jeff, and Vicky, Carl, Joanne. Awesome, guys, so I hope you guys had a good weekend. So today we're just gonna do some more Photoshop, and we actually, we do have Kelly with us, and she will just join us in just a minute here. And she's gonna kind of take us through some more of the all over print mock-ups and maybe improve on what I did last week on the recording that I put in the members area. And Kelly's, she's been working with Printex for a while. She was at the Hannibal event, and she's the one that you hear doing those videos that are in the members area. So she's excited. We're hoping to have her as much as possible, over the next month or so. Just to keep on coming on with us maybe once a week or once every other week. So if you guys are having any questions or troubles, or just, I know a lot of you are new to Photoshop, just, mention something in the group so that way we can get ahead of the game and I can get Kelly scheduled out to see what she would want to focus on. And then, as usual, as always, we'll kind of go through something today, and then we'll take some questions, and it could be anything Photoshop related. All your questions. So if you do have questions, you can start popping them in now. It doesn't necessarily have to be what she's going to cover today. So also, I don't know if you guys can see in the handout section. I don't know how that is displayed for you. I did attach a wall art sizing guide. I think there was maybe just a minor mistake in one of them, so with maybe a dimension or something. So Kelly fixed that yesterday, and I do have that. So that is attached there. So in case you guys are needed for your wall art size guide, you might want to attach that. So if not, I'll also put it in the Facebook group. Okay, so moving forward. So Kelly is with us. I'm going to introduce you. Like I said, she's been working for Printex for a while, and she's really good at Photoshop, and she's taught me a whole bunch of things. And so I just wanted to get her on the call today and, let her kind of show you what she's going to do. Kelly, can you hear us okay?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Can everybody hear me all right?
Yes, I can hear you. Can everyone hear her? Cool. All right. So I'm going to hand you over the screen, Kelly, and you can kind of just take it from there. And like I said, I will be watching the questions as they come in, and I'll kind of interject if someone doesn't understand something. So here we go. Let's see.
So is he going to go golfing with Richard? Oh, tomorrow. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
I think we're ready.
Okay. Can everyone see the screen there?
With the Bella Flowy tank here in Photoshop?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I see it. Let's just make sure everyone can see it. Yes, they can see it. All right. Yeah, we are good to go.
So I'll take you guys from start to finish. So here's the tank that we're going to mock up. I'll show you how I got the image I'm going to use. I went to this great website called pixabay.com. Lots of free images, vectors, illustrations, videos. So I did a search on Pixabay, and I found this nice image here, so I just clicked that. Here's the full-size image, free download. You have to sign up, you have to register and whatnot. So I downloaded the image, and let me take you over to our place where we're going to do the sublimation. Okay, so I've got my Bella Flowy tank selected, so I'll select it here in my Photoshop layers panel. So I want to select this whole object. So the easiest way to do that is to place your cursor on top of the image in your layers panel. I'm using a Mac, so I'm going to hit Command. If you're using a PC, then you'll hit Control. But you'll notice whenever I hit Command, it has a little dotted line superimposed over the little hand. So I'm going to hit, I've got Command, and then I'm going to click that, and so it basically has a nice selection around my object, around whatever's in that picture, or whatever's in the frame here. So one thing that we want to modify this selection, because we can just select the outline of this tank, but we want to subtract the back tag. So we don't want the picture to come up on this back area, because that does not come through in the sublimation process. It can, but it's not necessary. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to my marquee tool, and since I'm working with a rounded edge here, I'm going to use my round marquee. So if you hit it and keep it pressed down, it'll give you various options. So I'm going to go for the round one. And then the Option key, or the Alt, you'll see the minus sign next to the crosshairs there. That means it'll take away. And if you hit Shift, you'll get the plus sign. So we want Alt or Option. And so this will take just a little bit of finesse, a little bit of working out here to get ourselves a good selection. So I'm just going to zoom in. I'm going to hit Alt or Option once again. So I'm going to keep getting rid of that part of the selection, that back tag of the shirt. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Now, what I usually do, let me just get a little bit more. What I usually do is I'll go to, I want to save this selection. This is a good selection. If I want to use it again, you can save it. So you go to Select, Save Selection, and then I'll just put Flowy Tank. Okay, so if I deselect, if I Command D, the selection goes away. I can load it up again and hit Flowy Tank, and then there's my selection. Okay, so it gets pretty easy from here. I take that with a laugh, right? Okay, so I brought up my picture. I'm going to select that layer. Actually, what I'm going to do, no, that's good. Okay, so all I need to do is edit, copy, edit, paste. And then you'll see in the layers panel, we've got a picture of it. We've got a cutout of that picture. One thing to keep in mind, I'm going to hide that once again. So we'll go back here. I'm just refining. I just want to show a little extra. So what I've got is this feather pixel. I actually want to bring that to 0, and I'll show you why. You can see on the screen how it's kind of fuzzy on the edges. So that's what that feathering did. So I really want to take that away. So what I'm going to do is load the selection again without any feathering. Flowy Tank. So I have 0 feather pixels chosen. I'm going to show my image once again, copy and paste it once again, and then you hopefully will be able to see the difference. It's a little bit better, or maybe it's the same. A little bit better. Okay, so I'm gonna throw this one away just for ease, making it easy. Now, this is basically your mock-up. This is what it looks like to have sublimation mock-up. If you want to, you can add a couple of the wrinkles. So I'm going to hide this to show you the wrinkles of the shirt. So a way to make it look a little bit more three-dimensional, we're going to go back to our flowy tank layer, and I'm going to select a certain color range, and I'm going to select the shadowy color ranges. So go to Select, Color Range. Now, we've got 3 eyedroppers here. So sort of a regular one with a plus sign, and one with a minus sign. So we'll start with the regular one. And then you can either select here, or you can select on the image itself. I'm going to start to select the darker ones. What's important is that here under selection preview, you want to have it selected as none. This will give you the best view. So fuzziness, just the higher the number, the more it selects. So we'll go ahead and go down towards like the mid-range. I'm going to press the one with the plus sign, so this is going to add to my selection. So we'll go ahead and add a few more. You may notice as I'm clicking on the main screen, you'll see this shifting slightly. You'll see this little mini screen shifting slightly. So I'm just trying to get the darker one. So that's too much. Now I need to go to the minus tool, and then I'll minus a few shades. It's hard to show you with white on white here, but I think that that's going to be pretty good. We'll go ahead and do a couple more. And you can, instead of going around with the eyedropper tools here, you can always just adjust your fuzziness as well. That's another thing you can use. So then I'm going to hit OK. So it's given me a pretty big selection. It may be actually more than I need to. So I'm just going to do deselect, and we'll try that one more time. Okay, so here's my bring the fuzziness down. So whatever is white in this little box or highlighted is what you're gonna is what will be selected. So I think, let's say that's pretty good. We'll hit OK. So yeah, so we've got these wrinkles here, we've got these darker shadows on the right. So the same thing that we want to get rid of this neckline, the back tag selection. So it'll be the same thing. So we'll just hit the marquee tool, Option Shift, and then begin to deselect. And this is not needing any sort of perfection here because we're going to lower the opacity on this. Okay, so we've got it on our flowy tank. We're going to do the same thing. Edit, copy, edit, paste. And so now what we have, likely, here I'll put another layer up. I'm going to put another layer and I'm going to fill it with black so you can see what we have. So that gave me this selection. That's what our copy paste just was. Okay, so I'm going to hide our background layer. If I drag this on top, this layer on top of our beach scene here, our flowy tank cutout beach scene, you can see that we've got a little bit of texture from the original tank. So I'm going to hide this flowy tank beach scene, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to select this ghosted wrinkles of the flowy shirt. So I'm going to hit Command and then select. Now what I want to do to give it a little bit more of a shadow quality, I'm going to fill it with the color black. So I'm going to go to Edit, Fill, and then by default it comes up as black, or you can change it to the foreground color, background color, but for easy sakes, let's just hit black. Okay, so it fills it with black. So it gives us a little bit more contrast. Edit, deselect, or select, deselect. So now what you do is you do a little bit of cleanup. So I'm still on this ghosted selected layer, and I'm going to hit the opacity button and lower the opacity. Usually you go down pretty low, 34, sometimes it's 12, and just be aware that for every garment it's a little bit different. So 44 is looking pretty good here. We've got some of the wrinkles on the left. We're starting to see the collar seams, so we're getting a little bit more of a three-dimensional quality. So you might see that there is some shadow or there's some leftover here at the top of the collar. So all you do is you take your eraser tool, make sure you're on your that appropriate layer, and just erase little bits of it. Like I said, there's a lot of, it's very forgiving as far as perfection goes. So here's what our tank looks like on a black background. If we wanted to change this background to white, just so we can get a sense of what we're looking at. So I'm going back to my eraser tool. just to do a little bit more refinement. And there you have it. That's pretty much how to make a full mock-up for sublimation printing. The only one more thing is I got to put the flowy tank back. So now we have the background as well, what we were trying to preserve by deselecting all of this area.
Okay, yeah, that was going to be one of the questions too. I'm glad you covered that. Was just how you get that the back on there. So you originally hid that layer, but you just turned it back on. Yeah,
I had it off and then I had it back. I just turned it back on. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, that looks great. That looks awesome. That looks. I was just telling Kelly that I saw a couple of these tanks come through in the news feed, and I mentioned this last week on the webinar, and you know, they had it just like that, and it just gave the ad so much more just depth to it. It really looked like a true shirt that, you know, you just didn't whip up in Photoshop like a lot of people do. So that looks awesome.
Right. I want to say one thing, just to be aware. Well, I'll say two things. One, I'll do this whole thing once again, but instead I'll do it on this shirt, just so you can see the steps on how to do it on a different garment. But one thing I also wanted to mention is that here's the original image that I downloaded from that Pixabay. One thing to keep in mind is your image size. So I go to image size, just to see how big it is. And let's see. So the original image is resolution 300. It's almost 7 inches by 10 inches. That's a pretty good size. You will have a successful image if the resolution is about 200 to 300, and then 10 by 7 is a good size as well. So I just wanted to kind of point that out also. So I just hit cancel and then minimize that one. Any questions so far before I go over the same process on this white T-shirt?
Yeah. So as far as what you were just mentioning, is that the image of the artwork, is that just for what they would need to submit to Printex in order to get a good quality print?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Carl asked, is the Bella Flowy tank, is that able to be an all-over print?
Yes, it's 100% polyester, so yes.
Lois has wanted to know, how would I move or center the image on the shirt if they wanted to maybe move the maybe like the palm tree around a little bit?
Yeah, good question. Okay, so let's show you that. Okay, so you have your image here. Let's do it on the flowy and the T-shirt, but let's do the flowy first. So notice how in my layers panel I have the picture layered on top of the flowy tank. So I'm going to hit my picture, the palm tree, and then I'm going to go to my opacity, move it to about 50%. That just kind of gives me a sense of what I'm looking at. So then you just take your move tool, and then you can move it around. One thing that you might run into is the image size versus your garment size. So you may have to do some free transformation work here. And one way to do that is to go to Edit, Free Transform, and then you can make your palm tree, your image, whatever it is, a little bit larger. But notice you can't make it too small because you'll lose its ability to fit over the entire image. So you're kind of dealing with that push and pull of those two things. But you just move it around. Let's say you want, maybe you want it to be like that, to cover it like that. We girls know that diagonal lines are really good for clothing, right? Diagonal and vertical. So that's how you move your image around, and you would just do it the same way. So you would hit Command, Select. In this case, if you wanted to do multiple images, I'm going to go to Deselect. In this case, we already have our selection, flowy tank. Oh, yeah, and so we have our flowy tank without the back tag selected. So you could make 5 different mock-ups using this same file. You just drag your pictures into this file, and you can do the same process over and over again with this same saved selection. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. Yeah, and what I was covered a little bit last week too is when you do, yeah, exactly, when you do want to move it around, that's kind of like sometimes like the hardest thing about it is to making sure that you can cover the image. Sometimes if it's real close and you really like the way it's lined up, and as you're selecting your image to transform, like normally you're probably holding shift down in order when you're grabbing one of the corners so you don't distort the image.
Right, yeah.
But sometimes if it's really close, and remember, just for mock-up purposes, and you obviously want it to be how you're showing it is how you're going to want it to be printed. But if it's like really close, sometimes you can maybe drag it out from the sides just a little bit here and there in order to, if you're really trying to achieve a certain look on your mock-up. So if normally you're grabbing from the corners and holding shift down because that keeps it in this, it doesn't distort the image. But if you had to maybe grab it from the side and just to pull it over a little bit, I know it will kind of widen the image, but sometimes you can do that, but you just don't want to, you don't want to make it too noticeable.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so as you were talking, I was trying to kind of give a little demo of what you were saying. Yeah, so I'm going to hit cancel. So if you do free transform, if you don't know Photoshop, always grab from the corner to enlarge or make smaller, and at the same time you must hit shift and then drag from the corner. See how it stays proportionate? Nothing gets too big or too wide, too tall or too wide. So if I let go of shift, it'll start to do whatever it wants. It'll kind of, and then if I hit shift again, it'll take it back to its, maintain its proportion.
Okay. So yeah, Jack Quez is asking, this is kind of for me, I guess, is the process for still, you have a Shopify store, is the process for submitting orders still through a CSV? Correct. So you just, the way you would normally do it, you would just send your CSVs through email to Printex. And I would need to correct the correct SKUs for all Printex products. Yeah, we have that in the members area. So what I'll do is I will put that in the Facebook group. But you should, normally if it's if it's like a unisex, really it's just kind of unisex. They're pretty. They have it down pretty good over there, Printex. So if you put Bella Flowy Tank, you can just put Bella Flowy Tank in your CSV, and they'll know exactly what you're talking about. But if you have any like specific questions about specific products, we can answer those too. This is from Joanne. What file do we need to send Randy? The picture with the design, or a separate one with the image? And what size do you need to make it? So normally, if you're gonna want to send Randy just the artwork file. Normally, he's asking for like a 3000 by 3000 with a 300 DPI for the all-over printing. I think something like what Kelly is showing, it definitely will work. If you have any questions about it. Randy always just mentions just to email him with the images, so he can kind of give you a yes or a no, or if he needs a bigger size. So before you go through and start promoting and running ads, just check with him, and he's really good about it. He gets an answer to you right away about exactly what image size you need. But I know for the most part, that's what he's usually asking for, those all over print art files.
Yes, the question from Joanne. Yeah, so you have, it would be 2800 by 3200, not the 1200. It may just be a typo on your part. Yeah, so we do not need the mock-up on the shirt. We don't need that image. We just need the original artwork file, and then we print it from there.
Yeah, and you're right. The 3000 by 3000, that may be the pillows, I think, but
yes,
yeah, I think the 20. Yes. Okay, so yeah, the 2800 by 3200, but definitely a 300 DPI definitely helps with the quality of the printing. So
yeah, it's a lot to wrap your mind around the image size, like the actual inches or pixels, and then it's DPI. So just anywhere between 200 and 300 is going to get you better image quality, best image quality, I should say.
Okay. Okay, so that's awesome. Any questions on the Bella tank? You can probably move on if you want, Kelly, to the unisex tee there.
The shirt, okay. So I'll do the unisex tee here. So first, before I do anything, before I do any selecting, let me make sure I can fit this image on. So this is a little bit different. And a way you can maybe cheat this a little bit is if you select your shirt. So I'll just show this to you, and then you can free transform, edit, free transform. You can make your shirt a little bit smaller. Since we're just doing a mock-up, you can make your shirt a little bit smaller so it'll fit a little bit better. And then we'll go back to our image, drag it over, see where it works. We need to make it a little bit larger, so edit, free transform. I'll make this one bigger. So it's just enough to fit over the shirt. Let's just see where it would look good. So we'll get a little bit of sand in there. And then we'll hit OK. Okay, so we've got that part figured out. I'm going to hide the picture because I want to select the t-shirt. So the same thing, place my cursor over the layer, the image of the layer, the thumbnail, hit Command or in PC Control. It selects it. So we go here. I want to take away the collar. I want to take away the back of the shirt here. So I'm going to hit my marquee tool. Hit
Hey,
Alt.
Kelly?
Yeah.
I don't mean to interrupt you. Before you go any further, can you show them, because sometimes in Photoshop, if they're, oh, what's the word? It's at the top. Sometimes if they select it, it will select some of the shirt. The tolerance is up. Can you just show them if that happens, how they fix that so they just get the outer edge of the shirt? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think I do. So what you're saying is a different thing. So if I'll deselect this.
Okay.
I think what you're talking about is the magic wand tool. So if I hit the magic wand tool, the tolerance here is at 2. So this just selects the color range, like the pixel colors. So if we zoom in, zoom in, you can see all these little squares. And we've got some darker gray squares, we've got some highlights, some lighter squares. So it's just going to highlight, let's say, these two like kind color of pixels. If I put my tolerance up to like 25, then it's going to select a wider range of pixel colors that are analogous or close to each other. But that's the magic wand tool. So I'm going to zoom out and I'll select this with the magic wand tool just so you can see. So it's given me the brighter whites. If I hit the Shift key, it'll select more, so I can select more and more. So basically here I have the entire shirt selected. So it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. In Photoshop, there's probably about 20 ways to do one thing. So this will get you there as well. But,
okay. Yeah, I was just confused because I know that's how I always select them. So what you're just showing me now about hovering over the thumbnail image, I've never done that, and that's a really quick way, because normally I use my magic wand and then I have to go mess with the tolerance in order to get it. So cool, just good to know both ways.
Yeah, I actually just learned this thumbnail way. Matt, my colleague here, he showed me that about a month ago, and so it's kind of been a lifesaver after 10-20 years of using this program. Okay, so anyway, so I'm going to deselect, and I'm just going to do it this way again. So I'm going to hit Command and then select. So I want to get rid of the collar, the selection. I want to remove the selection from the collar. Oops. So I shifted it slightly. Thank God there is undo move selection. So undo is your friend, right? Okay, so the rounded or the circular marquee tool, I'm going to hit Alt Option to get that little minus sign. And on and on. And you may hear noises in the background. That's my coworkers talking. I don't have a computer that has Photoshop with a door, so
you're all good.
Pardon me. Okay. So that looks pretty good. Now we're going to bring our image back up, make sure that layer is selected, and then you just copy and paste. Actually, before I do that, let me save my selection. Save selection, and this time I'll do t-shirt. Okay. So I've got my things, my image selected, edit, copy, edit, paste, and then there's our image once again. So this can pass, this can work for your mock-up. If you want to get fancy, then we'll hide this, and then we'll do our select color range. So this is going to give you your folds and your wrinkles and your shadows. So select color range. Go to the darker. Hit OK. So everything is, so you, I don't want you to be confused. The highlights are not selected. It's just the darker shadows that are selected. So again, I'm going to deselect this collar area. So I have my marquee tool, hit Alt-Option, and deselect this part. Okay, so then I'm going to copy and paste once again. Whenever you copy and paste, it automatically takes it to a new layer. So once again, I'm going to hit Command and select the thumbnail. I'm going to fill it with black. Edit, fill, black. Okay. And then I'm going to drag this to the top. I'm going to view the shirt and the image. And so this black shadows, take the opacity down. Go up to your opacity, take it down. And this gives you a little bit of shadow. And what you can also do, so I'm going to hit deselect. What you can also do, so you can see it gives a little bit of the folds here. Let's say you don't like this part here in the center. Let me get, so let's say you don't like these little extra kind of details here. What you can do is just go to your eraser tool and get rid of those. And if you don't like that, sorry, I'm kind of flipping the screen around a bunch. So that looks all right. If you don't like that, then you just go back in your history, and then you can bring it back. You can adjust your shadows. You can also duplicate the layer and get kind of double up on it, and then maybe make one of them a higher opacity, one lower. So there's different things you can do. You can give this is called the layer blending modes. So if you want to darken one of them or screen one of them, it just has really subtle effects. Kind of play around with them until you get what you're looking for. But something like this looks pretty realistic if you wanted to adjust a little bit more. So, and finally, you can give yourself a little bit of a drop shadow. So I'm going to put all the layers that are active together. And if you go to this FX at the bottom, so notice I have my shirt selected. So we'll give it a drop shadow. You can change the angle, and then just give yourself a little bit of, so that kind of gives it a little bit more three-dimensionality. If I hit the preview button so you can see what it looks like without it, and then with it once again, maybe the spread is too wide, so I'll bring that back in. And remember, people are gonna, it matters how it looks, of course, but they are also going to look at it for maybe, I don't know, 20 seconds to 5 minutes. So just kind of keep that in mind. Don't make yourself crazy trying to make it perfect. So there's that mock-up. I hope that's clear, and if you guys have any questions, let me know.
Yeah, that's very cool stuff, man. Yeah, we do have some questions on it. Let's see, a couple of people are just asking, they want to know exactly how does Printex know where to place the image on the product then. So I guess, you know, compared to what your mock-up is showing, how do they understand when it's time to actually print that it's going to look pretty similar to the mock-up?
Great question. Usually I will check the, so there's a couple ways. One, sometimes we get a PNG image that comes along with the artwork, and the PNG is the image that's mocked up on the garment. So we can see where the, let's say for example in what I'm using here, we can see where the palm tree is, that it's coming off, you know, diagonally on the bottom right, which would actually be the left-hand side of the shirt. But we get an image of what the seller is selling, and then we match that up whenever we're doing the printing and the pressing of the image on the garment.
Mm-hmm. And again, yeah, when you do mock that up, if you and again, if you have these and you're trying different ones, I don't want to overstate it, but just again, reach out to Randy and just kind of show them. And what Randy does is kind of spreads that to his team as the orders start coming in, and they understand pretty quickly. So it's really just a matter of just an email. If you're just to make sure there's no confusion on it, because it's a good question. Obviously, you want to make sure that when they get their shirt that they paid for and they really love the design, that it looks, you know, similar to what they saw in the ads or in your store.
Yes. So what tool is she using before the magic wand? I think, Joanne, that was me just selecting the garment. So I had it as I just selected, I hit Command. Notice how that little kind of dotted line goes around, is superimposed on that little hand that's on top of the thumbnail. So that's all I did, and it selects whatever layer that is. It selects whatever image is in the layer there.
Cool. Yeah, and it kind of goes with, you know, a lot of the other mock-ups also. So if you are doing mugs, it's pretty much the same thing. I know that Kelly did do a mug video, and we have that in the members area. And I think I put that along with, because there's a couple different mug mock-ups. There's one where you can kind of see the back rim of the glass, and then there's one mock-up where you don't see that at all. So as far as using that, what is that, the marquee tool, sometimes you have to deselect some of that on the mug mock-up that has the background, sort of like the collar of the shirt, I guess, or the inside of the shirt. So
yes.
Let's see, what other questions do you have? Do you guys have any questions regarding anything else in Photoshop that you always wanted to ask but never had a professional at your beck and call? Usually they're asking me, and I'm like, I don't know. I'll have to ask Kelly. Sorry. Yeah, I think the one thing is, I know that like most of our last 5 questions, we're just making sure that people, you know, that you get the thing. And I think when you're in your products, guys, as long as you have the art image where it goes in the large, you know, file size, and I think in the small, like, so normally say if it was on a personalized shirt, and you would have like the reduced size, the smaller image size. I think if you were to even put your background image in that one also, I think that may come through to Randy, so they can kind of see that when they do get the order. So if they see that mock-up that comes through, then that comes through as like a link or whatever, and when they look at it, they say, oh, okay, here's kind of how it's placed. But yeah, I think you can do that. I would probably do that along with just emailing Randy and let it get to his team.
Yes, seeing the mock-up, and sometimes if we don't have the mock-up, or if it just didn't come along with the CSV, I'll go to the I'll look it up online to see the store, to see the product on the store.
Yeah. Carl's just asking what the purpose of the free transform function is.
Free transform will let you enlarge or make your image smaller. So let's just say I'm going to take this white t-shirt that has a drop shadow on it, and I go to edit, free transform. So free transform has terrific amounts of tools. So like you see that I'm taking it from diagonal. It doesn't matter which one, but it's on one of the corners. So the top left, you have to hit shift and then you can make it smaller. See how it's keeping its proportion, or larger. So I'm going to release everything. If I take it from the side, see how it's sort of like a funhouse mirror. It takes it too wide, and you can do the same thing with tall. So that kind of made it look proportionate once again, but this can also kind of stretch it out. If you hit the circle with the slash, it'll hit cancel, and like anything that you just did will not be applied.
Yeah, and there's also, if you go back up to edit, or where the transform button, there's also just regular transform. So if you click down on that, guys, you can kind of see that if you wanted to tilt the image, and I used to do this a lot for like in the ads, you can tilt the image that way. And I know you don't necessarily, depending on your version of Photoshop, you can usually just kind of hover over the image and it will give you that option. But yeah, there's some other ways to do it. There's flipping it horizontal. So if you have pictures and you're running like a certain I don't know, image in your ad and you want to mirror it or flip it, that's where you can do all that kind of stuff too.
Well, let me add this to that. So I'm going to hit cancel so that it doesn't get applied. But what I have found is that right below free transform, there is transform, and so then you can flip this horizontal. So it just mirrors it like you said. If you do it through free transform, what you have to do is, or what I always learned, and maybe you know something different, is I'm just making it smaller so that we can see, but then you just kind of flip it like this, so that mirrors it, but it doesn't keep its proportionality. So you can do it either way. I'm going to hit cancel. So that's just another way to do it, is flip horizontal, or you can rotate any of these. So I'm just going to add this in because it's part of the tool. If you want to get really fancy, I'll hit free transform, hit the control button, and notice how it gives you on that little black arrow, it gives you a little list icon with little bars. So you hit that, and let's say I want to give it a perspective. This is a little advanced, so then you can say it's coming up from the ground, or it's like Star Wars credits. So you can do a little bit of fancy stuff like that, but that's a little bit more advanced. You can also
that's cool.
I'll just show you one more thing. You can also do distort, skew, scale, rotate, any of those. Skew is pretty good, so that just kind of gives you more options, different options. And you can do this not just with the t-shirt, but let's say you have text or graphics or like a picture that's sitting on the shirt and you want to give it a little bit of dimensionality. Or what I really mean is, if there's a person, like a model wearing a shirt, and they're not facing full front, let's say they're tilted to the side, then you can take your artwork that you want to place on it, and you can mess with these skew and perspective tools to make it look like it's actually on the shirt on the person.
Wow, that's awesome stuff. Yeah, because I even think with like the way you had it look like when you made it look like it was coming up from the ground, like even on that design we just had, I think that would look awesome too. Just giving it a different, because like I said, most of these mock-ups you're going to be using obviously in your store and obviously in your Facebook ads, but like always making it look a little bit different than things that you see is what it's what really catches people. I know Kevin used to talk about that a lot, just making sure the ads, because you only have a few seconds to grab their attention. So using those tools can really just make your ad look different, make your mock-ups look a little bit different.
Right.
We have a question from Chip. He's asking, is there any way to increase or lower DPI image, increase a lower DPI image to a higher resolution, no matter what the cost may be, if you had someone to do it? ? So I think he's asking just about as far as like if a certain DPI, are you able to increase that?
Right. I see later. Yeah, he says example given 91 DPI to 300 DPI. Okay, so here's the lowdown on that. You can always change the DPI of an image. It's called resampling. So if we go to image size, resample image, So best for enlargement, best for reduction. So the answer is yes. The outcome is not always going to be a great image. So you'll get, like, so let's say I take this image here. Actually, let me take this one. So this was also from that Pixabay site. If I check the image size, it's a good size. It's 300 dpi, but let's say I take it up to 600, and then I hit OK. So you can see that the quality, I just doubled the size, right? I just doubled the image size. The quality is decent. It's not bad. It is a little bit fuzzy. So we're looking at it, you can see we're looking at it at 25%. If we look at it at 100%, you can see that it starts to get a little bit grainy, like if you look at this point. So what's happening is the computer, the pixels are data, so your DPI, dots per inch, or pixels per inch, PPI, it has a certain amount. I'm going to zoom in so you can see. A certain amount of information. When you double the, or when you add to the DPI, what you're doing is the computer is adding various bits to each little section. So let's say this is a really dark area right here, then it's adding like kind colors nearby to expand the picture, to make it a little bit bigger. So you end up with a picture that's a little bit fuzzy. So this is, we're back at 100. You can start to see that the image is kind of breaking up a little bit. The good news is that this sublimation process is fairly forgiving with this issue. So just the process of the your image, the artwork being printed out, and then taking that large printout, putting it in the press, the heat press, on top of the garment, you lose the pixelation somewhat. There is some loss of that imperfection, so it smooths it out a little bit. You don't get a super crisp picture. You can if your picture is perfect, but it still looks pretty nice even though the image has been resampled, or you brought the DPI up from, let's say, as you gave, 91 to 300. I hope that helps explain.
Yeah, definitely. I've always kind of wondered that too, because I know, like, whenever you change, so say if you like open up something at 72 and you change it to like 200, obviously your image size goes up along with that. So just another thing, like if you don't know that, you're changing the overall image size. So you may have it started at 2800 by 3200 or something. So you know, your pixel size of the height and the width are going to go up too as you change the resolution.
Right. Yeah.
Ivy was asking something about an article I read on Sketch about Sketch. Can Sketch be used in lieu of Photoshop for designs? I've never heard of Sketch. I don't know anything about that. Have you heard of that, Kelly?
I've never heard of it. I do know that there are many programs out there that people do use instead of Photoshop, but I don't know how files can be saved, or I don't know. I don't know. There's, yeah. I think GIMP saves their files in a certain type of way that other programs cannot open. So just be aware of that sort of crossover issue.
Yeah, and Ivy, what we usually try to tell, because we normally get, when we do Photoshop stuff, we do get a lot of, hey, have you heard of this, or how is this, and again, Photoshop, as far as designs and saving things and what you're doing for your stores and ads and all that stuff, it's pretty much the industry standard. Like, yeah, there could be other things that people are using and really advanced. People could be using certain programs, but as far as what I think we're doing, and as far as what you may be doing, I think just using Photoshop is probably the best way to go, and it's just the most widely used program out there. And once you really start to get the hang of it and understand the commands and what you can do, it becomes fairly easy. And again, I think it's only $9.99 a month right now. So, they used to make you buy this whole thing for whatever amount of money. It was really expensive, but now you can just kind of pay monthly for it. which if you're using it a lot, it's really a great deal.
Yeah, I would concur with that. It just makes it a lot easier, a lot more kind of workflow, gives the workflow a little bit more smoother quality experience.
Cool. Yeah, so she says that she enrolled for a Photoshop class. That's awesome. I watch a lot of there's a Photoshop YouTube channel. They put stuff on that all the time. You can pretty much find anything on YouTube if you're really looking for a specific thing that you want to do. You just got to find it, and there's usually, you know, people post Photoshop videos all the time.
Yes. Just be patient with yourself.
Right. Let's see here. Anything else, guys? We have a couple more minutes. Jason was saying Sketch is best for mocking up mobile and web apps. It's more closely related to Illustrator. Okay, that's good to know. I've never heard of it.
Oh, because I flipped it. That's why this isn't fitting correctly.
All right, guys. Well, I don't see any other new questions coming in. If you do have something new that we didn't get a chance to get to before we end the webinar here, again, you can always just ask us in Photoshop. In the T-Rex Facebook group or in Skype, and you can always tag me either way. And if it's something that I can't answer, I will Skype Kelly and try to get an answer for you as soon as possible. But I just want to say thank you, Kelly, for joining us. It was awesome stuff. Yeah, Patty is wondering, I will not be in San Diego, Patty. I unfortunately just fell on just a crazy week for me here. So I don't know if Kelly's going or not. Kelly, are you going?
Nope, I won't be there, unfortunately.
Okay. I think Randy's he may be there or traveling there. So I'm sorry I'm going to miss you guys this time, but definitely at the next event. But again, Kelly, thank you so much for joining us. We hope to have you again soon.
My pleasure.
Yeah, and if you guys have any other things that we want to cover, let me know in the Facebook group, and I'll start letting Kelly know so we can get her scheduled out here. Just getting a lot of thanks, Kelly. So again, thank you, and we will talk to you guys soon.
Looking forward to it.
Okay, bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.